Hey guys. So in my last videos, I've been talking about doing analysis on some of these ROI DApps and really getting to a point where we can use the what's available on the blockchain, what's available in the contract, to essentially help us predict whether these ROI DApps are going to be profitable or whether we're going to lose money on them. So what I want to show you today is just what the template I've produced around one ROI DApp, and that's stable one. Really, I chose stable one because it's simple. It's a simple static return that doesn't change. That's easy to that has daily withdrawals. So it's about as simple as these DApps get. I did a video maybe a week ago on this as well, but since I guess learning from MATIC Staker and doing some more work on this, I wanted to show you where I'm at and to use this basically as a template. So the end goal here is to start doing regular videos, maybe every day, maybe every couple of days, just showing all of these DApps, these ROI DApps, all of them on that are available. At the moment there are dozens probably, and really just to show whether or not they're profitable on a daily basis. So before we go any further, just to give the disclaimer that I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. This is just my own opinions, my own analysis, and I'm showing you what I'm using to help make uh, decisions on investing in these DApps, and hopefully that helps you guys. So if it does help you, please give me a like, give me a subscribe, all that stuff. Look, and I think before I show you what I've done, I just wanted to give a little bit of more information, a bit more feedback on maybe some criticisms or some comments that have come my way that I've seen in the comments section, and maybe just try to explain my approach a little bit better. Why stable one? So in some why am I even considering stable one, I should say, given the history of stable one and the fact that the V1 app had withdrawal issues, and a lot of people had a bad experience, weren't able to get support, weren't able to get feedback and help them resolve the issues. I had some comments. I'll show you the next page here, just around some comments that have come up on my videos, and I wanted to talk about those comments and tell you my opinion and my approach to this whole ROI space. So these comments are about MATIC Staker and they're about Stable One. The first one here. And the point of this is not to call people out on their comments or their opinions. I'm just giving you my response and my thoughts. So MATIC Staker took investors' money and ran. Don't stake or invest if the creator is anonymous. That's exactly what MATIC Staker creators were. Number two, yes, it was a scam. They closed the Telegram. Goodbye to my 330 Matic and hopes and dreams, never investing in one of these schemes again. First stable one and now this. Not only I think it's a scam, but I think it should be illegal. Fraudulent project, keep away or you will regret it. Personal experience, they will block you if you complain about any issues. I think that one was relating to stable one. Yes, this is a scam. I lost money on this too. It's a Ponzi project. Don't invest in stable one. You'll regret it. Personal experience. Biggest rug pull on the planet. And these ones over here. So it was a rug. Why? Look at the day one wallets. There are 6 wallets that invested and locked in silver contracts. So you can read that essentially saying that the devs behaved inappropriately and essentially took advantage of their own contract by investing when they knew that it wasn't going to last the full 28 days, and they made money. And the last two just saying, nope, they're not going to be held accountable. This is the nature of DeFi. So look, what I wanted to say about all these projects, all these comments, sorry, is just that the I think the approach or the that's being taken here by the commenters around identifying these as scams, and how you evaluate whether they're worth investing in, or whether there's risk in investing in these platforms. And a lot of them kind of allude to trust in devs and trust in the owners, the managers, the runners of these dApps and whether they're trustworthy or not. So what I want to say, this is my opinion. This is the way. Again, do your own research. You're free to have your own opinion, of course. My opinion is if you're in DeFi and you're trusting people, then that's not the way to go. Don't trust anyone. The the whole point of DeFi, the whole point of crypto is decentralization, and it's trustless. So that means you don't have to trust anyone. So I wouldn't go into MATIC Staker. I wouldn't go into Stable One or any of these DeFi apps with any level of trust um, in the people who built it. And I don't think you need to trust the people who built it to invest in them. And that's really important to understand, that none of this is about trust. This is different to when you're investing in a blockchain or in a coin that you see long term. Maybe you like Cardano. You believe in Charles Hoskins' vision for Cardano, and you think that you want to sign on to that and invest, and you believe in those future promises. That's a very different proposition to what we're looking at here. When you're looking at ROI apps like MATIC Staker and like Stable One, watch my previous video about these DApps Ponzi schemes, explaining how they work, where they get their money from. These are not apps that generate any kind of value in the same way that a lot of DeFi apps do, that a lot of blockchains do. They create value. They can grow money in a legitimate and sustainable way. When we're talking about ROI apps like MATIC Staker and Stable One, these are 100% Ponzi schemes, in my opinion. They're Ponzi schemes that create no value, that redistribute money from later investors to early investors. That's what they do. That's how they work. You have to understand what they do and how they work. On top of being Ponzi schemes, they're also pyramid schemes. They are they have these referral programs that work similarly to pyramid schemes. If you refer someone, you get a certain percentage of their return. If that person refers someone, you get a percentage of their return. It's a pyramid scheme on top of a Ponzi scheme. You have to understand that that's what you're getting into when you're investing in these DApps. There is no such thing as a sustainable ROI DApp. And when you assess the intentions of the devs in this space, and you can't imagine that they are building something that they are trying to get long-term value out of. This is not a platform that is sustainable. It's not a platform that is going to get any traction, and in 2 years' time it's going to grow and grow and be big. This is a get rich quick scheme for everyone involved. It's a get rich quick scheme for the devs. It's a get rich quick scheme for, to some extent, for the investors. And that's really what this is. And this last comment here around, well, they took advantage in an unethical way, essentially, of their own contract. Absolutely. You have to expect that. You have to expect the devs are not in it to grow crypto or to do anyone a favor. The devs are in it to make money, and to make a lot of money easily and quickly. These are all of these ROI dApps. They're forks, they're clones, they're easy to kind of get money from quickly. And that's what people do. So you have to go in expecting that no one is here to help you, or no one is here to help people make money. None of the devs are of any of these schemes. It doesn't make sense to me to look at any of these ROI apps and try and work out, well, who are the devs? Have they been doxed? Have they been? Do we know who they are? Do they have a good community? Is there a good Telegram presence? Are they on Discord? Are they responsive? None of that matters one bit. None of that matters. In the case of MATIC Staker, there was promises of basically a Trix token that would come into play after the contract ran out of balance. That Trix token is a promise. It doesn't exist. My view and my approach here is not to trust anyone, to assume that all of these ROI DApps, as they are Ponzi schemes, and not trust any dev, any platform at all. And I think that's the best way to do it. You can't go into this saying, well, who can I trust? Because the whole point of crypto is it's trustless. You don't have to trust anyone. And so my view here is, well, how can you make money not trusting anyone? And the fact of it is, as I've said before, these contracts, these smart contracts, are immutable and they're transparent. You can go onto Polygon Scan. This is the contract for Stable 1 V2. You can read the smart contract. You can read the code. You can look at it. You can see what it does. You can see what the devs can and can't do. Once this contract is on the smart chain, on the blockchain, no one can change it. The devs can't change it. No one can go in here and make it do something that it's not programmed to do. You have certainty without any trust. So I really don't care if the devs are, if the devs are known scammers. I don't care. The contract is there, and the contract does what it does, and you can see what it does. You can also go and see what the transactions are. So if if in this case the devs went and invested heavily in their own contract to try and make more money, you can see that. You can see that in the transactions. You can pull this information out. You can look at it. You can do some analysis. And you don't have to trust anyone. You can be working with known criminals, and you can still do a risk assessment, and you can have assurance that they cannot walk away with your money. So in the case of all of these ROI apps, they're not walking away with your money in the traditional sense. They can't just take this smart contract, draw out the balance and walk away with it. That's just not how it works. That's not in the code for them to do that. Even if they take their site offline, if Stable 1 takes their site offline and you're not able to interact with the site, that doesn't matter. You can go to the smart contract here, go to Polygon Scan, click on the contract, go write contract. You can make your deposits. You can make all of your transactions directly into the contract. There's no dependency at all on the devs. There's no dependency at all on making sure that you understand who you're dealing with, who they are, and whether you trust them or not. In my opinion, the only thing that matters is the code that's in this contract and the transactions that are in the contract. And from that, you can make a determination about whether you can invest in it, whether you want to invest based on risk in these smart contracts. It's all there in the contract. So, once again, don't trust anyone. When I put up a video here on, as I am now, on Stable 1, people come in the comments and say, hey, Stable 1's a scam. They are absolutely all Ponzi schemes. They are all Ponzi schemes with a pyramid scheme wrapped around it. You cannot say that you didn't know, or that that any one is more of a scam than any other one. They're all equally Ponzi schemes. They're all equally unsustainable. I say equally, the interest rate makes a difference, but in the end, none of these will last. None of these can last because they don't create value. So please understand that when you're investing, that's what this is. We're not talking about trust. We're not talking about dealing with ethical people. We're not talking about good operators. We're talking about knowing what we're getting into, and can we control our risk in a way that will allow us to make money? So that's what I'm talking about. That's my view to investing here, and hopefully that clears things up if you look at this and say, well, Stable 1's a scam. So let's move on beyond this to actually looking at the analysis portion of this video. So I'm going to just look at this is what I've shown in the past. The model that I'm building around these ROI DApps, and basically this model is the lifespan, the life cycle of an ROI DApp. The red line here, as you can see with the legend up the top here, the red line indicates so the x-axis at the bottom shows time, so the beginning of the contract to the end of the contract. The red shows the amount of money that's invested. So every day people are putting investments in, the total invested is going up. So the total invested is going up every day in a kind of straight line up, assuming that an equal amount of money is going into the contract every day. Now this daily investment line is static. This line keeps going up. And you have a cumulative investments, you have a total contract balance that starts going up basically in line with the cumulative invested, but it starts kind of dropping down until it hits kind of a flat phase and drops down to zero. And the reason for that is because every day, of course, you need to pay interest or you need to pay returns. So you pay a certain amount of the total contract balance or the total cumulative invested to investors every day, and that eats away from the total contract balance. And if you don't understand why that happens, please watch my video around are these ROI DAPPs Ponzi schemes, and it will explain basically the way that these operate. So there's no investment being made. This just has the appearance of investment. It's just money paid out of these investments into withdrawals, and that is what lowers the contract balance. So when you're assessing the risk of an ROI app, a new one, say, or one that's in progress, so there's a couple of things that you need to think of. And again, back to my previous point, it doesn't involve whether they have a Telegram. It doesn't involve whether they have like a social media presence. It doesn't involve whether or not they've had scam websites before. This is locked in on the contract, and you can't change it. So actually, at this point, I'll just add a caveat, which is that you need to check the where is it? The audit results. I can't see it. Here it is, audit results, and because that will point to what they can do on the app and whether or not they can manipulate it. So if you have a look at this, the audit results, that will also point out if they've left any loopholes, any backdoors. If they've left any backdoors to getting their money out or scamming everyone, then that's an obvious red flag. Don't invest it. But if it's just a ROI app with no other issues, then all that matters again is the contract. So when you assess risk, you look at the audit, you look at the contract, and then the other 2 points that relate to this model, you want to see where you are in the contract. So at this point in the ups, as the contract balance is still increasing, that's the lowest risk point. Over here towards the middle and in the end, that's the highest risk point. The other thing is that you want to make sure that daily investments are in fact going up at a consistent rate, because if they start dropping, this curve also starts dropping and the lifespan is shorter. A third thing that is to be considered when you're assessing risk is also the interest rate. So this assumes that there's a flat interest rate in this model of 7%. Basically, the interest rate is flat, you get more of a curve that looks like this. If the interest rate goes up, that means that those daily interest payments, so I keep saying interest rate, it's the returns rate on the contract. If that return rate starts going up, then the curve will drop down like this. So this is the very kind of ideal scenario, just to see what that life cycle of a ROI DAPP looks like. You want to get in kind of in the first quarter, probably not too early because you don't know if this line's going to go up, and not too late because you know that line's going to go down. So the trick here, what I'm trying to do in this channel is find out which DAPPs are have the lowest risk based on where we are. So we want to be here. We want to make sure we've got an upwards trajectory. So this is the ideal case. I wanted to look at some real world cases. So as I said, this is the static return rate of 7%. You get kind of a flat curve like this. This, what I'm showing you on the screen now, is the curve on Polygon Scan, the analysis for, which one was this? MATIC Staker. So this is the one that recently collapsed a few days ago, ran out of money. And you can see that curve pretty much follows that line that rough outline that I showed you of the contract balance. But the difference with MATIC Staker is that they didn't maintain a flat return rate. What they did was they kept increasing it. So because they kept increasing that rate of return, you can see it didn't kind of maintain a flat curve all the way, and it wasn't sustainable for very long. What happened is when these higher rates started kicking in, the money to pay them had to come out of the contract balance. So the contract balance started dropping really quickly. And so that's what happens when you're on a increasing interest rate or returns rate DAPP, and you see basically a very fast end to it, and you need to kind of account for that. And one of the reasons I've selected Stable One as the first one to look at here is because Stable One has that flat rate, and we can test to see if this model applies to the real world. So this page here is my the model as applied to Stable One. So what I've done is essentially taken similar kind of calculations down here in the table and put the actual daily amounts for Stable One in the as inputs into this table. And what this does is this calculates how long under this model the contract has to survive. And you can see this curve really follows a very close follows very closely along to the prediction. And so I'm very comfortable using this model to basically apply it to other DApps and to make predictions in the future. So I want to use this format, and I'd be interested to hear from you guys if you find value in this particular format, if you think there's any information that's missing that that you want to see. So I'll show you what we're looking at here. So we've got the live balance at the moment right now, the contract balance, and a daily snapshot that I'm using to just take a daily snapshot. At the moment, these are both exactly the same because I believe there is maintenance happening on the Polygon network, and there's no transactions flowing through. So this is kind of been stuck for about 6 hours on all apps on the Polygon network. So for Stable One itself, we've got a 5.53% daily return. That's what it's paying out consistently, and a 1.38% reinvestment rate. So the sum of these total is 7%, and that's what roughly 7%. There's a withdrawal fee taken out there, and that's what the basis of the calculation is. I've got a referral adjustment because some people also get paid additional based on referrals, and that is just an adjustment to make sure that the numbers work. Because we don't know how much that rate is being paid out, because not everything is actually readable on the chain easily. So I made an approximation there. I've got a 10% withdrawal tax that is paid out to the devs when you make a withdrawal. That needs to be accounted for. And then we've got an assumption on the total number of new investments and just a base investment, which I'll talk about in a moment. So this is what is showing up in my figures: a cumulative investment on the Stable One contract of about 2.2 million, which roughly aligns to what's on the website. The website breaks down new investments against reinvestments, and I don't have visibility on that, but roughly that works out. And the contract balance projection here, which is actually lower than expected for various reasons. Total number of days this contract has been operational, and I think as a general rule of thumb, you can expect maximum a month out of these ROI apps. So this shows that you're basically towards the end of the life cycle. The total number of average daily investments, that is the average of daily investments over this red line, during the whole life of the contract has been about 127,000. The contract health, this is how much to what percentage the daily balance basically covers the total invested. That is only 12%. That is really low, and that's a bad sign for the contract. Projected end date is when the model predicts it's actually going to run out of money. So for me, that is March the 14th. That is what this model predicts. and this total expected return is, well, if I was to put in $100 today, how much of that money do I get back? And the model predicts that you get $15 out of your $100 back. You make a 15% of your money back, which is a loss. You're obviously losing 85% if you're only getting 15% back, which means that the risk rating here is high. So I'm not going to invest in Stable One. Obviously, I'm not telling you whether or not you should invest. This is not financial advice. This is my own personal opinion based on this model that Stable One is not going to last more than a few days. So I would not invest in Stable One at this stage. So just take a look at the numbers here a bit further. So these lines in green show that the figures that I've actually gotten out of the smart contract. So again, you can go into the smart contract. You can export all of the transactions as spreadsheets, which is what I've done, and put them into this table where you can see, well, on each day, how much money has gone into it. I've tried to basically use calculations that are going to have assumptions and going to be a little bit rough, but I've tried to work out, well, what's the the total amount of withdrawals they're going to be paying out each day, the total amount that's going to be reinvested, and how does that affect the contract balance. So you can see the contract balance here, it's flowing down. Today's the 10th of March, and the contract balance that I have is, today's the 11th of March, is 279, which is a little bit lower than it is at the moment. And so I'll look at why that is in the model. I think it's probably partially due to the fact that there haven't been any transactions in the past 6 hours, but I would expect that this was going to drop down to somewhere in the 300s today. I think there might be just a little tweak I need to make to this table because it seems to be out by a day essentially, or you know what I think it is. I've calculated this to be midnight at the end of the day on the 10th of March, midnight UTC, which is about where we are now. So I think this is actually the figure that we should be looking at, not the one below it. So 379 is where the model predicts us being to at the moment. We're at 400, but no one's been able to make withdrawals for the last 6 or 7 hours. So that's pretty much in line. So basically daily new investments, this is the variable here. I've put it at 50,000. And the reason being, well, you can see these total investments have been very high, but they have been dropping in the last 7 days or so, and I've estimated these as roughly 50,000. So I'm assuming that there's 50,000 new investments a day in this model. If you were to make that 100,000, then yep, the contract would last a bit longer, but I think 50,000 is probably a pretty good guess, and that's why I'm predicting under this model around about the 14th of March, the contract is going to run out of money. So look, again, just need to be absolutely clear on this. I'm not, I make no guarantees with this information. It is not, I don't have any magic 8-ball or anything that I'm looking into. All I'm doing is looking at what the contract does, trying to build a model, looking at what's on chain, and then trying to make a prediction. So based on this, I'm choosing not to invest in Stable One today. I'm expecting if I was to invest 100 MATIC, I'd get back 15. Not a good investment. But I'm also tracking my own investments here. I did invest in Stable One on February 25th. I put in 23 MATIC. I'm expecting 38. That 38 comes from their own website. That's their own calculator saying how much I should expect back. And I've been able to make 23.56 in withdrawals today. So I'm over. My returns to date have been over 100%. If this lasts another couple of days, I may be able to increase that to maybe 105, 110% if I'm lucky, which in my view is a good investment to make a 10% withdraw, 10% withdraw over my initial investment is in the space of a couple of weeks in the world of investing and finance is really good. So this is, again, just a point back to people who said, MATIC, which one is this? Stable One is a scam. Don't invest in Stable One on the basis of the devs or the people who run the thing being untrustworthy. My view is that that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's trustworthy, who's not trustworthy, what intentions they have, whether they're ethical or not. What matters is what's built into the contract. And what's built into the contract is immutable. You can rely on it. You don't have to trust the person who built it. So, based on this, based on where we are in the curve, so in the life cycle here, so for stable one, we're kind of at the end. It's not a good time to invest, in my opinion, and so I won't be investing. And look, that's about it. Let me know if you think any part of this can be improved, or if there's any more information you want to see. We'll touch on one more thing. Sorry, you can see this last column, cumulative return. It just shows you per day kind of how much you're getting back out of that initial $100 investment. I'm not going to make this spreadsheet public. I still want to do some work on it. It also has some API links in there, like my API private key. So I can't really share this, but my intention is to build a similar report for every active and feasible ROI DAPP and present this on a regular basis, maybe daily, maybe every couple of days. So similar one for, I don't know, AVAX Staker, similar one for other ones. Present this on a regular basis and show you what my thinking is. I'll show you if I'm invested. Obviously you make your own decision, but hopefully that information is useful to you. I did initially want to have all this automated in the spreadsheet, but when I'm looking at the APIs here, it's actually behind a pretty big paywall, and I don't want to pay $300 a month to be able to automate this this spreadsheet. Maybe eventually I will, but right now it's going to take me a little bit of time to manually get the data and do these calculations for these other ROI DApps. But in the meantime, have a look at this. Let me know if you think that this is useful, and if you would like to see this kind of information presented for other ROI DApps. And if you think there's any other information that could be kind of gleaned out of these figures that you might want to see. At the moment, I'm focusing on, well, how long has it got to live? How healthy are the daily deposits? And if you were to put in money in today, what's the likelihood of you getting your money back and with profit? So that's about all. Thanks for watching. If you found the content valuable, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.